Alright friends, so we are here to talk about Eureka Grade 5 Module 2 Lesson 13, or specifically using fraction and decimal multiplication to express equivalent measurements. Of course, make sure that you are pausing and rewinding as you need, so that way you can have appropriate understanding. And of course, make sure you have something to write on and write with. We're going to go ahead and start off with writing something right away. These are some conversions that we're going to need both through this video and through your practice. Make sure you have the one written down in bold. The one that is not bolded is the one you might be more familiar with. So we know that 7 days is the same as 1 week. So now we're going to use fractions to express 1 day in terms of how much that is per week. So remember, a week has 7 days. So if I'm drawing my week, here is my week. This would be 1 week. And then this would be 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days, 6 days, 7 days. So how much is 1 day? Well, 1 day is 1/7 of that week. So that's where we get the conversions that are again in the bolded. Please make sure that you've paused and written these down somewhere because you'll need them throughout the video and throughout our time in practice. All right, so let's go ahead and get going. All right, so if I'm trying to do 14 days, I'm trying to figure out 14 days is how many weeks? Well, first I'm working with 14 days. I know that that's the same as 14 times 1 day, because 14 days is 1 day, 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 1 day. So it's 14 groups of that 1 day. So now I'm going to express that 1 day in terms of weeks. 14 times 1/7 of a week, because 1 day is the same as 1/7 of a week. So now let's go ahead and multiply. What would 14 times 1/7 be? Well, that would be 14/7. So now I have 14/7 of a week. What is 14/7 the same as? That is the same as 2, because I can pull out 7/7 and 7/7. 7 plus 7 is 14. Each 7/7 is 1 whole. So 14 days is the same as 2 weeks. All right, go ahead. I want you to go ahead and pause and think about trying to solve this one. All right, so you should be back now, so let's go ahead and try it. So I have 28 quarts. How many gallons will that be? So I have 28 quarts. I'm going to think of that as 28 times 1 quart, because that's 28 groups of a quart. And I know that 1 quart is the same as 1/4 of a gallon, since 4 quarts is 1 gallon. So now I'm going to think about it as 28 times 1/4 of a gallon. Let's go ahead and multiply that. If I have 28 groups of 1/4 of a gallon, that's going to be 28 fourths of a gallon. We remember this from our review, or not from our review, excuse me, from the stuff that we did in quarter 2 regarding multiplying fractions. All right, so now how much is 28 fourths the same as? Well, how many groups of 4/4 can I make? Well, I can make 7, because 7 times 4/4 would give me 28 fourths. 28 divided by 4 is 7. All right, so a 28 quarts is the same as 7 gallons. Let's go ahead and do one more together, and then you'll go ahead and move to your practice. Again, go ahead and pause and try to think about how you would solve this one. 365 millimeters equals how many centimeters? Go ahead and pause and actually do it. Okay, so you should have done it, and now you've hit play for us to go over it. So again, we have that 365 millimeters. We're thinking about it as 365 groups of 1 millimeter. And I'm going to think about a millimeter as 1/10 of a centimeter, because there are 10 millimeters in a centimeter. So let's go ahead and solve. That's going to be 365 tenths of a centimeter. All right, so this is where last week's practice comes into play. 365 divided by 10. What's that going to give me? Well, this is 365 tenths. I'm working with tenths. So it's going to be 36 and 5/10. I'm working with tenths. I can make 36 groups of tenths, which is the same as 1 whole. And then I have 5/10 left over. Remember as well, I'm working with tenths. So all of my digits are going to shift over one place to put in that decimal. Oop, not sure exactly what I did there, but there we go. All right, so that was our lesson. Go ahead and make sure that you have paused and rewind as much as you need it, and then go ahead and move to your practice when you're ready.